Hello everyone. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for leaving my wife without a discussion after I found out she cheated? I know that I am not an asshole for leaving a relationship where my partner was unfaithful. That is normal, and I would hope everyone respects themselves enough to get out of that situation. This is a touch more complicated. I fly out for work. I am currently working a contract in Africa. I work for 8 weeks, then I get 4 off. So basically I'm gone for 2 months and home for 1. I have been doing this kind of work for about 10 years now. I had a house, but I was never there, and it didn't make sense to rent it out since I would not have a place to stay when I needed it. So I sold it. I stayed with my parents and simplified my life to the point where, other than my car and 1 set of formal clothes for weddings, funerals, I could carry everything I owned and 1 piece of checked luggage and my carry-on. I met Louise 3 years ago. We hit it off and started dating. She seemed okay with my lifestyle, and it was nice having someone to come home to. We got married last summer. I found out this September she was cheating on me. When I got home this time, I didn't bother leaving the airport. I checked into the hotel for the night and left the next day for Vietnam. I rented a nice place there for my time off and blocked her on everything. I also contacted a lawyer to start a divorce. A few people got a hold of me to see what was going on since she didn't know where I was. I told them that we were getting divorced because she was cheating on me. It happens. I'm sad but not ashamed. I didn't screw up. We never mixed our finances. The only thing that sort of matters is that our apartment was in her name. We wanted to make sure she could take care of everything while I was gone. All our bills were also in her name. Not my credit cards or anything. Just water, power, internet, stuff like that. I would just give her money to pay all the bills. It was good because then she had her salaries to pay for herself on everything else she wanted while I was gone. The thing is, she can't afford that apartment on her salary. I'm back in Africa and won't be home again until just after Christmas. I'm already planning on taking my parents to Europe over New Year's, so I won't be bothering to fly back to California next time. I will just have my company fly me to Italy instead. My ex doesn't have a lot of savings. She makes good money, but she likes nice things. I liked her having nice things, so I didn't mind subsidizing her life. Now she is stuck in a lease and has a car note that will eat up all her paycheck. Some of our friends think that leaving her in that situation without talking to her isn't fair. That she only got the apartment because she was counting on my money for the budget. They all acknowledge that she is in the wrong for cheating. But they think I am screwing her over too much by just leaving her like I did. Cold turkey, so to speak. Do you guys think I owe her anything more? Am I the bad person? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for using my scared pregnant wife's cravings against her to drive her to the hospital during labor when she absolutely wouldn't? My wife and I have been together for 6 years now, and a few months ago, we welcomed our first child, our baby girl, the sweetest baby ever. The ongoing tension between my wife and me started with what happened on the day of the birth. During the final 2 months of her pregnancy, my wife was overwhelmed with anxiety about giving birth. As her due date approached, she refused to even talk to her doctor on the phone, breaking down in tears at the slightest mention of labor. It was like she was in denial, as if ignoring it would make it go away. I tried to encourage her to see a therapist or at least talk to someone, but she shut me down every time, saying she just wasn't ready. On the day she went into labor, she was having obvious, intense contractions, but she kept insisting they were minor and refused to go to the hospital. Her mom, her sister, my sister, and I all tried to reason with her, but nothing got through. She was determined to stay home, despite being in active labor. At that point, my sister and I knew we had to act. Throughout her pregnancy, my wife had been craving churros, so my sister casually mentioned she was going to pick some up. My wife jumped at the chance to go with her, thinking it would help take her mind off things. But my sister and I had already agreed we were taking her straight to the hospital. There was no way we could leave it up to her judgment anymore. When my wife realized where we were going, her face dropped. She started crying and panicking in the car, but we pushed through because it was the only way. In the end, everything went smoothly. She gave birth safely, and both she and the baby were healthy. It's been a few months now, and she keeps berating me, using it like a weapon in every argument. Every single time, I apologize, I reassure her, I tell her that I can empathize, that she was very scared that day. I never meant to hurt her, I just wanted what was best for her and our child. There was no ill will involved, but she continues to make me feel like I am somehow a terrible person for what I did to her. This time when she berated me again, I finally let myself snap because I felt she deserved some harshness from me too. I told her she thinks she's doing our marriage great favors by being the toxic one, always carrying that bomb in her back pocket, ready to throw it in my face whenever she wants, without a shred of shame. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't hesitate, because in that moment, her choices couldn't be trusted. If she's still bitter about it after endlessly making up to her, that's just foolish. She should be grateful I stepped in, took control, and made sure both she and the baby came through safely and healthy. And unless she's willing to work with me and understand my perspective and communicate healthfully, I won't speak to her about it anymore. She refused to take in and called me an asshole for dismissing and stonewalling her just because I firmly made it clear I was only going to engage in constructive conversation over this. I don't respond well to being called names like that, because I never talked to her that way. I have never talked to anyone that way. I was furious with her for calling me an asshole, so I finally said something like, "Talk to me in that tone again, and you'll soon be a single mom real quick. She can't stop crying." I feel terrible, but this had been a pattern. I had just been taking all the verbal beatings and had to put an end to it by responding with the same energy. What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for letting my kids loot my brother's house to prove my point? My brother and his family came for a visit last month. My kids and I play with Lego, and we have fun leaving little dioramas around my house. Just silly stuff like a fight between Iron Man and Darth Vader on the loot llama. It's just our way of leaving Easter eggs around the house. My nephew really liked them and decided to take a few home. When we noticed they were missing, I asked my brother to bring them back. He said that it was just kids being kids and that he would them back the next time we saw each other. I saw him for coffee and I reminded him beforehand that I wanted all our stuff back. He forgot to bring the toys. Okay, game on. We went over to his place for a barbecue. I told my kids that unless all our stuff was returned to us when we got there, literally anything in the house was fair game. Like the godless barbarians there, they went to town. When we left, I don't think there were any remotes, small electronics, or beer mugs left at his house. I actually had to sneak the dog back into the house before we left. I started getting calls on our way home. I ignored them. When I got home, I returned his calls. He said a bunch of stuff was missing from his house. I said I would check with the kids. He said that I fucking well knew what happened and that he wanted his shit back. I said I would box it up and return it the next time we saw each other, as long as we got our Lego back. He was at my house with my Lego later that evening. He had even accidentally included stuff that wasn't ours. I returned it and his stuff. I told him that this is how we would be dealing with his kid in the future. He is pissed off that he had to make a special trip to return my stuff. My parents think that there is a huge difference between an 8-year-old taking Lego minifigures and a couple of teenagers pillaging their uncle's house. Am I the bad person? Can't wrap my head around that story. What do you think? Who is in the wrong there? Let us know down in the comments section, and let's move on to our last case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for cutting contact and calling cops on my mom after she burned my marriage documents? I, 27F, and my mother, 46F, have been fighting on and off my whole life. Every time I think she can change and be a decent person, she proves me wrong. Anyways, on to the backstory. So we're in one of our fights right now. Important info: I have custody/guardianship of my sister, and my mom has decided she doesn't really like that or me. And I said to her over text to have a terrible night, terrible by I don't care, and she decided to send me a video of her burning my unregistered marriage license and certificate. She was the commissioner of my wedding, temp commissioner license, and had a legal responsibility to register them. But instead she set them on fire, recorded it with the help of one of my, now ex, best friends, and sent the video to me. I called the cops because that's damage to federal gov paperwork, and they informed me I'd have to take her to court and push for justice. They also recommended I get a restraining order. I've decided to do both. Here's where I might be the odd. Due to her behavior, I've decided she is not a safe individual to be around. For myself or my kid, sister. So I've cut contact. I haven't blocked her because any texts or threats she sends I want proof of. I've also decided to cut off my ex-best friend's phone line, which puts her in a really bad situation. But she's an accomplice, so maybe she deserves it. Maybe I'm a petty bitch. Am I in the wrong here? You've sat down, you've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it gonna be? Let us have it down in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.